So first, do you have any questions on it or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
I think I got everything.
So pectoralis major and pectoralis minor down here. You do have this dissected between the two, and then of course there's this band-like muscle that goes over the top. So pectoralis major is also underneath that, and then right here. So pectoralis major could be either one of those places. And pectoralis minor, and then don't let this next strap fool you either. If I just pin that one, you know, and you see that strap, don't let that fool you. So pectoralis minor, pectoralis major, external. Actually, let me do this first. Latissimus dorsi, and then you've got serratus anterior underneath there. Remember, there's also serratus ventralis, which is the cat-only name, but my advice is just use the human muscle names on the cat. So serratus anterior, and then this leads us to the external abdominal oblique or external oblique. Then you've got internal oblique down here on the side. Looks like a really good uncovering of the transverse right there, a lot of it there. And then the edge of the rectus abdominis. I like that. When I can see that uncovered like that, that's a real good place to pin it. So it could look like that up here or up here, anywhere along the line, not the whole thing. It looks like you guys actually uncovered a little bit of it there too.
Yeah, we started to.
Which is not fun. But this whole strap right there is like that six-pack muscle, right? Rectus abdominis. As long as you got it on the edge, that's really good. So rectus abdominis, transverse, or did you guys go underneath here for transverse?
I think we tried to go under there.
Okay, but it is actually right here too.
Okay.
That looks like the edge of the peritoneum, the way it's so shiny.
Yeah.
But you can tell by the fascicle direction, because there's the fascicles from the internal, and
Okay.
then there's the transverse, and then the rectus, of course, are going up and down like that. So internal oblique and then external oblique. Down on the leg, the thigh, as I said, this is sartorius and escrocillus, and then escrocillus cut to see the adductors, and then that sartorius cut to see the quadriceps. So down here in the adductors, this is a little bit better for pectineus if you were worried about that one. So there's your adductor longus, and having a little bit of damage is normal. When I first started teaching, I was always doing that on these cats, and every single one of those adductor longus were, yeah, so that's a typical thing. I don't blame anybody for that. But right next to the blood vessel, pectineus, adductor longus, adductor magnus, sometimes it has a split there, sometimes it doesn't, and then the semimembranosus and semitendinosus. As far as underneath the sartorius for the quadriceps, on the cat you only need to know 3 of the 4, and there's the 3 right there. So adductor, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, not rectus abdominis, but rectus femoris, and then that's the vastus lateralis, which also is the big bulging muscle over here too. On the human, we have to know the 4th one, which is underneath the rectus femoris, which is the vastus intermedius. This other muscle right here that's kind of attached right there, that's your tensor fasciae latae muscle. So that's stretching out there, and then also kind of this triangular shape right here. And then that leads to gluteus medius and maximus.
Yeah, the maximus got attached, I think, to the. We had a lot of fascia. I think. Remember, we couldn't find it when we dissected it out. We think it got attached or something.
Right. I do. So this is a good. This is a really good view of the medius, though.
Yeah.
Gluteus medius, and then the maximus is. I've seen it very small. This is actually. I can't think of it now. Caudal. I can't remember the name of that one offhand, but not one on our list.
Right.
But that's not it. But if you did have the maximus, sometimes they only go about that far,
Right.
especially if there's a lot of fascia. So like you said, if you were taking off a lot of fascia and it disappeared with that, it probably wouldn't have been any further than that anyway. But I've seen them up to, you can kind of see a little bit of a remnants of a line right there. Sometimes they begin right there, but sometimes it's just their fascia.
Yeah.
Either way, you know where it's supposed to be. I'm not taking off for that, but the important thing is you can recognize it on other cats.
Yeah.
So gluteus maximus should be there, and then medius there. Again, tensor fasciae latae. That's the edge of the sartorius coming down. Biceps femoris, and then from this side you can also see semitendinosus. Lower leg, you've got these 5 muscles here. So gastrocnemius, soleus, fibularis or proneus, extensor digitorum, tibialis anterior. And remember, tibialis anterior is all the way anterior, right on the front.
something.
right next to the shin.
Right.
And then extensor with a T, extensor digitorum right next to it. On the lateral side, lateral with a T. And that means the flexor then is on this other side. So the flexor digitorum is on the lower leg, and then gastrocnemius. It's really only those two that we can see. Now there is, on the human muscle, there's tibialis posterior and plantaris and a couple others, but on the cat, that's all we can do. Okay, so do the back here. So trapezius is usually just covering like that, and then you guys cut and reflect it. You can see again, rhomboideus is a group of muscles. It's not just one, but a pin, any area like in here would be answer would be rhomboideus. Subscapularis, any of those places. Supraspinatus, and it looks like on this side. Yeah. So the spine is right there. So the supra above the spine, supraspinatus, infra below, infraspinatus, and then teres major is right there. So if the pin was like that. So teres major, infraspinatus, supraspinatus. And then as far as the arm, lateral side of this arm, upper arm here, you've got triceps brachii, or triceps brachii, brachialis, and deltoid. And deltoid's bigger, it's not as compact as on the human, but I usually go for top of the shoulder, which is natural. Remember this brachioradialis, this ribbon-like muscle that goes through here, you can see it right there especially, leading you right to the brachialis. So not brachialis, but biceps brachii is medial. So that was on the lateral side, this is medial, it's hard to get in there, but underneath this deltoid and everything, there's your biceps brachii. As far as the forearm, obviously the brachioradialis again, but as far as the ones that are like, they're still superficial, but they're attached. You've got pronator teres, and then flexor carpi radialis, because this is where thumb side would be, radial side. And then the really big, shiny, noticeable one is palmaris longus. On the human, ours is not that noticeable, but the tendon still goes right to the center of the palm. So if you get lost, find the center of the palm and follow that tendon down, and that'll be your palmaris longus. But it's the same size on the humans that most of the others. And then flexor carpi ulnaris. So you've got all these that when they contract, they're flexing, and then so of course the others will be the extensors. But all these flexors, pronator teres in the corner, then flexor carpi radialis because you're on the thumb side, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris. Then when you move over to the other side, you're going to start with extensor carpi ulnaris. Sometimes there's a muscle that pops out there, but I don't see it here, so we just skip and we just go right to this next big one, which is extensor carpi ulnaris. And then extensor digitorum 1 and 2 are just these two side by side. A and B, 1 and 2, whatever you want to call them. But if I pin that one, it's extensor digitorum, or if I pin that one, extensor digitorum. And then that leaves us ending up with extensor carpi radialis, right there. And then of course the ribbon again, but that's the four flexors for the cat. I'm sorry, the 4 extensors for the cat.